In ancient Egypt, the charred remains of mice were routinely prescribed as a painkiller for toothaches. This practice stemmed largely from the belief that mice possessed powerful magical properties capable of revitalizing life itself. In practice, a mouse would be burned whole or either applied directly to the affected area or ground together with herbs to create a medicinal paste. Since illness and pain were understood to be the work of evil spirits, people sought to drive out whatever was afflicting the body by harnessing the vitality of these creatures. The remedy was remarkably widespread, and there were applications that would be unthinkable by today's standards, such as giving children mouse broth to stop them from crying at night. While the hygiene implications were considerable, this practice stands as a fascinating piece of historical context, illustrating just how deeply intertwined medicine and religious beliefs were in the ancient world. In space, tears do not stream down your cheeks the way they do on Earth, because there is no gravity to pull them downward. Instead, they cling to the surface of the eye and, driven by surface tension, gradually grow into a large sphere of water. For astronauts, this is a surprisingly serious problem. If a tear forms during a task, the resulting water bubble can completely obstruct vision. As it continues to grow, it may even spread to cover the nose and mouth, creating a risk of breathing difficulties. There are documented cases of astronauts on spacewalks experiencing uncontrollable tearing after a foreign object entered the eye, requiring improvised solutions such as using airflow from the ventilation system or shaking their head to dislodge the droplet. In space, tears cannot be treated as a symbol of emotion. They must be managed as a physical obstruction, a stark reminder of just how unforgiving that environment can be. The French word saboteur, meaning to sabotage or slack off, traces its origin to sabot, the French word for a wooden clog. During the Industrial Revolution of the 19th century, factory workers harbored deep frustration over low wages and harsh working conditions. As a form of resistance to push their demands, they began deliberately throwing their wooden clogs into looms and other complex machinery to cause breakdowns. By disabling the machines and bringing work to a halt, they could deal a direct economic blow to their employers, effectively using as a form of strike or workplace disruption. This very act of throwing a clog gave rise to the word sabotage, which made its way into Japanese as the verb saboru, meaning to shrink or skip out on work. Today, sabotage broadly refers to the deliberate acts of destruction or obstruction. But behind the word lies a history of desperate struggle by the working class. Deep inside Neptune, extreme pressure and temperatures reaching thousands of degrees give rise to weather phenomena beyond imagination. The methane that makes up much of the planet's atmosphere is broken down by these immense forces, causing carbon atoms to crystallize and transform into diamonds. Scientific models suggest that the resulting diamond particles rain continuously downwards onto the planet's depths. This diamond rain may be more than just a spectacular phenomenon. It could play a meaningful role in generating the planet's internal heat. The fact that diamonds, among the most prized gemstones on Earth, may exist as a routine meteorological occurrence deep within Neptune speaks to the staggering scale and diversity of the universe. As space exploration advances, scientists hope to gain a clearer understanding of the crystal structures formed under these extreme conditions, and the topic continues to captivate researchers worldwide. In medieval Europe, animals were put on trial. Livestock and pests alike stood as defendants in actual courts of law. Formal indictments were drawn up against animals accused of destroying crops or harming people. Defense attorneys were appointed, and proceedings were conducted with the rigor comparable to modern legal systems before verdicts of execution or banishments were handed down. Remarkably, these animals were afforded professional legal representation, with counsel given the opportunity to argue on their behalf. Defense lawyers sometimes mounted earnest cases for acquittal, arguing, for instance, that insects eating crops were merely acting on instincts granted by God and could not be held guilty for wrongdoing. When found guilty, animals faced punishments mirroring those imposed on humans: excommunication by the church, public execution, or exile from the region. Underlying all of this was the prevailing religious belief that all living things must exist within God's ordained order. And these trials can be seen as a desperate human attempt to impose legal structure even on the unpredictable forces of nature. Mayonnaise traces its origins to a sauce long cherished in the port town of Mahon on Minorca, a Spanish island in the Mediterranean. In the 18th century, a French duke leading the capture of the island was deeply struck by a sauce served at a local eatery. Its smooth, rich blend of egg yolk, oil, and vinegar was unlike anything found in the French cuisine at that time. The Duke brought the recipe back to Paris, introducing it under a name meaning sauce for Mahon, mayonnaise. It spread rapidly among the aristocracy before reaching the general public, eventually becoming one of the most world's iconic condiments. Initially a luxury item due to the labor-intensive process of mixing it by hand, it became widely accessible to everyday households as industrialization advanced. Today, regional preferences vary considerably. Japan, for instance, has cultivated its own distinct mayonnaise culture with a milder acidity, making it a fitting symbol of culinary exchange across the world. Reindeer living in the Arctic have a remarkably rare trait. Their eyes change color dramatically with the seasons. During the summer months of the midnight sun, their eyes glow golden, reflecting the intense light. Come the polar night of the winter, the sun never rises. They shift to a deep blue. This transformation is driven by structural changes in the tapetum, a reflective layer at the back of the eye. The blue winter eyes are nearly 1,000 times more sensitive to light than their summer counterparts, enabling reindeer to gather even the faintest traits of light and detect the movements of wolves, their natural predators, in near total darkness. This ability to optimize vision in response to the environment is virtually unique among mammals and stands as a remarkable feat of evolution. To survive the brutal Arctic winter, reindeer physically reshapes their own bodies to adapt to extreme conditions, a depth of survival strategy that continues to astonish scientists. Newborn babies cry loudly to express their emotions, but they are actually incapable of producing tears for the first several weeks to months of life. This is because the lacrimal glands responsible for secreting tears are not yet fully developed at birth. Crying is a baby's sole means of communication, the only way to signal hunger, discomfort, or need of comfort. And in those early weeks, they do so entirely through sound and expression alone. As the lacrimal glands mature with growth, real tears finally begin to fall, and many parents find themselves moved by the sight of their child's first genuine cry. A minimal amount of moisture is produced from the start to keep the eyes lubricated and protected. But the kind of tears that well up in response to emotion require a somewhat later stage of development. This little known fact offers a glimpse into the remarkable process by which a newborn body works to adapt to the outside world. Lobsters do not age death in the biological sense. Each time they molt, not only their shell, but their also internal tissues are replaced anew. While most living organisms undergo gradual cellular aging due to the limits of cell division, lobsters possess exceptionally high activity of telomerase, an enzyme that extends lifespan, allowing them to maintain a perpetually youthful state. In theory, as long as a lobster avoids predators, fatal disease, or exhaustion from a failed molt, it could survive indefinitely. What's more, lobsters continue to grow larger and stronger with age, meaning older individuals actually hold a competitive advantage in the struggle for survival, the opposite of virtually every other creature on Earth. Lobsters, estimated to be over 100 years old, have indeed been caught, and they remain a subject of intense scientific interest worldwide as researchers seek to unravel the mechanisms behind their seemingly ageless biology. Vatican City is the smallest country in the world by area, yet statistical data occasionally places it among the highest crime rates globally. A striking figure that calls for closer examination. The explanation lies in the unique demographic and tourism profile of the nation. While the resident population numbers only around 800 people, tens of thousands of visitors from around the world pour in every day. When the petty crime common to tourist destinations, such as pickpocketing and theft, are divided by a resident population of just 800, the per capita crime rate balloons to an extreme figure. In other words, the Vatican is not actually an unsafe place. The number is simply an artifact of how the statistic is calculated. The Swiss Guard and a dedicated police force maintain a vigilant presence within its walls, and serious crime is exceedingly rare. The figure sounds alarming on its face, but understanding the context behind it paints a far more accurate picture of reality. In Wales, there exists a train station with the name stretching to 58 letters in the alphabet, the longest station name in the world. The name, which is also remarkably difficult to render in Japanese, was originally devised in the 19th century by local merchants as a promotional stunt to attract railway tourists to the area. Rendered in Welsh, it carries a meaning along the lines of the church near the white hazel pool by the red cave, packed with geographical detail. On the platform, a sign stretching nearly the full length of the stop displays in the name in its entirety. And posing for photos in front of it has become a highlight for visiting travelers. The name is sometimes abbreviated on tickets and on board announcements due to its sheer length, but it has become a treasured piece of regional identity and continues to delight visitors to this day. The ingenuity and entrepreneurial spirit of those 19th century locals, using language itself to draw a crowd, still manages to astonish people around the world. After Einstein's death, an unprecedented incident took place. His brain was removed and taken without the consent of his family by the pathologist who performed the autopsy. Convinced that the secrets behind the intelligence of the greatest mind of the 20th century must be encoded in the structure of the brain itself, the pathologist acted on scientific curiosity, however transgressive. He carefully sectioned the brain into slices, preserved them as microscope specimens, and spent years conducting his own independent research. The truth remained hidden from the public for over 2 decades, and when it finally came to light, it sparked enormous controversy. Posthumous consent was eventually obtained from the family, and the research did yield some intriguing findings, including a higher density of glial cells, which support neurons compared to the average brain. The brain, taking in what can only be described as an act of obsessive passion, was later donated to a museum in the United States, where it preserved today as a treasure of human history. Sharks have existed in the world's oceans for approximately 400 million years, more than 100 million years before the first dinosaurs walked the earth. Their form has changed remarkably little since then, making them one of the most fitting examples of a living fossil. Throughout Earth's history, several mass extinction events wiped out the vast majority of life on the planet. Yet sharks survived every one of them through sheer adaptability and an extraordinary effective survival strategy. Their skeletons are made of cartilage rather than bone, making them lightweight and agile, while also allowing wounds to heal with exceptional speed. They are also equipped with a specialized sensory organ, often described as a sixth sense, that detects the faint electrical fields produced by prey, cementing their dominance as rulers of the sea. Long after the extinction of the dinosaurs, sharks have continued to reign over the oceans unchanged, and their perfected anatomy and vitality are widely regarded as one of the great endpoints of evolutionary history. In the Parma region of Italy, a bank called Credito Emiliano has for many years offered a highly unusual service: low-interest loans secured by wheels of Parmigiano Reggiano cheese. In this region, cheese is not merely a food product. It is considered a genuine asset, one that appreciates in value over years of aging. The bank operates dedicated large-scale aging warehouses where it meticulously manages the quality of cheese held as collateral. Producers can use this system to secure the operating capital they need while waiting to bring their valuable product to market, making it a vital economic mechanism that sustains the region's traditional industry. From the bank's perspective, the arrangement is equally sound. Should a borrower default, the high-quality cheese can be sold on the open market to recover the loss. It is, by any measure, a beautifully rational system that works to everyone's benefit. Bananas are widely assumed to grow on trees, but botanically speaking, the banana plant is not a tree at all. It belongs to the family Musaceae and is classified as a giant perennial herb. What appears to be a trunk is in fact a pseudostem, a tightly layered cylinder of overlapping leaf bases containing no woody tissue or growth rings whatsoever. Banana plants grow with remarkable speed, reaching several meters in height and bearing fruit in under a year. But once the fruit is harvested, the pseudostem dies back and a new shoot emerges from the underground rhizome, a cycle that repeats continuously. A plant that is technically a grass, yet grows to such impressive heights and produces the nutritious fruit beloved around the world makes the banana one of the most extraordinary organisms in the plant kingdom. Knowing that what we eat is, strictly speaking, the fruit of an enormous herb gives everyday encounters with the banana an entirely new dimension of interest. George Washington, the first president of the United States, was plagued by serious dental problems throughout his life and relied on dentures for most of it. The popular notion that his false teeth were made of wood is a myth. They were in fact crafted from materials such as hippopotamus ivory, elephant tusk, and even real human teeth mounted on metal bases. Elaborate and sophisticated constructions by the standards of time. Dental technology of the era made it a perfect fit nearly impossible, and the dentures were held in place by metal springs, requiring Washington to keep his jaw constantly tensed just to keep his mouth closed. Many of his portraits show him with lips pressed firmly together and a somewhat strained expression, reportedly because he was straining to keep his dentures from falling out. That he shouldered the immense responsibilities of the presidency while enduring the daily comfort and pain of ill-fitting dentures is a historical reminder of just how much modern dentistry has improved the quality of human life. Hummingbirds possess a flight capability unique among birds. They can not only move forward, but also fly in reverse and hover completely motionless in mid-air. Unlike other birds, Their wings are connected at the shoulder by a joint that allows full rotation, enabling them to beat their wings dozens of times per second in a motion closer to a propeller than a conventional wing stroke, which in turn allows movement in virtually any direction. Sustaining this level of aerial performance demands an enormous amount of energy. A hummingbird's heart rate can exceed 1,000 beats per minute. The ability to hover perfectly still beside the flower while feeding on nectar, or to retreat instantly backwards at the first sight of danger, is a feat no bird can replicate. This extraordinary physical capability, packed into such a tiny body, is a product of evolution refined to maximize efficient energy intake in a demanding natural environment. And it never fails to leave observers in awe. Switzerland takes animal welfare extremely seriously, and the law reflects this remarkable specificity. It is illegal to keep highly social animals, including guinea pigs, parakeets, and goldfish, as solitary individuals. The reasoning is that placing animals accustomed to living in groups in an isolated environment constitutes to a form of psychological cruelty. Even if one pair dies and the surviving animal is left alone, the owner is obligated to find a new companion promptly or make use of specialized services that offer temporary animal companions to prevent loneliness. This deep-rooted commitment to animal welfare permeates Swiss society, placing on owners the responsibility to ensure their animals can live in a manner consistent with their natural instincts. The ambition to protect not just the physical health, but the psychological well-being of animals through law is a model of coexistence that has drawn admiration from around the world. Although most of Antarctica is blanketed on thick ice and snow, a region known as the McMurdo Dry Valleys holds the distinction of being the driest place on Earth, an area that has seen no rain or snowfall for millions of years. Surrounded by tall mountains that prevent moist air from entering, and scoured by powerful katabatic winds that descend from the highlands and evaporate any trace of moisture, the valleys present a landscape of completely exposed, barren ground resembling a desert. This extreme environment is considered the closest analog to the surface of Mars found anywhere on Earth, and it has been used as a simulation site for Mars exploration research. The existence of a dry vegetation-free expanse within a continent defined by ice peaks to the extraordinary complexity and diversity of the Earth's climate systems, and the valleys retain an otherworldly mystique as one of the most inhospitable places on the planet. New Zealand is world renowned for having far more sheep than people. There was a time when the ratio was even more dramatic, over 20 sheep per person. But structural changes in the livestock industry have brought the numbers down, and today the ratio stands at roughly 5 sheep per person. These sheep grazing across vast open pasture land are the backbone of New Zealand's economy, underpinning the country's major exports of wool and lamb. It is not uncommon for drivers to be held up for half an hour or more as enormous flocks cross the road, a thoroughly ordinary occurrence in this country. An environment where animals outnumber human shapes as national character deeply attuned to living alongside nature, and for visitors, it contributes to a sense of unhurried open time that stands as one of New Zealand's most distinctive and enduring charms. Praying mantises have a remarkably unusual anatomy. Rather than having ears on their heads, they possess a single ear located on the underside of their abdomen, right in the middle. This solitary ear does not function quite like human hearing. It evolved primarily to detect the ultrasonic pulse emitted by bats as they hunt for prey. Mantises do fly at night, and when they sense a bat approaching, they register the intensity of the sound through this ear and immediately destabilize their flight posture, plunging toward the ground to escape predation. While the single ear makes it difficult to determine the direction of a sound with precision, it is exquisitely sensitive to specific frequencies, functioning as a highly specialized survival sensor. The anatomy of insects follows an entirely different evolutionary path from our own, and the mantis's single abdominal ear stands as a striking example of the remarkable adaptations that emerge when survival is the only imperative. Polar bear fur appears brilliantly white, but each individual hair is in fact transparent. The white appearance is simply the result of light being reflected and scattered. The hairs are hollow on the inside, trapping air and providing exceptional insulation that prevents body heat from escaping even in the extreme cold. And beneath all that fur, the skin itself is jet black, an adaptation that allows it to absorb solar energy with maximum efficiency. Sunlight passing through the transparent hairs reaches the dark skin below, warming the body, while the hollow fibers retain the heat and prevent it from radiating outward. This layered system represents one of the nature's most sophisticated solutions to cold weather survival. Even the color of a polar bear, it turns out, is a product of precise functional engineering. The beautiful white exterior is sustained by a surprisingly intricate scientific architecture. The secrets held in their fur and skin serve as a reminder that every feature of an animal's form exists for a reason. Snails are highly vulnerable to dehydration, and when the conditions become too harsh for survival, they are capable of retreating into their shells and entering a dormant state that can last up to 3 years. They seal the opening of the shell with a film of dried mucus to prevent internal moisture from evaporating, then suppress their metabolism to an absolute minimum and wait. This dormancy can take the form of estivation, protection against intense summer dryness, or hibernation against winter cold. And in regions where aridity is extreme, snails may remain unresponsive for years until sustainable humidity and temperature return. There are even remarkable documented cases of dried snails kept as museum specimens being revived years later simply by exposure to moisture. For all their reputation for slowness, snails possess a formidable capacity for self-preservation. Having established a patient and resilient survival strategy that allows them to outlast even the most punishing shifts in their natural environment. Tomato ketchup is a staple on dining tables around the world today. But in the first half of the 19th century in the United States, it was actually sold as medicine. Physicians of the era claimed that tomatoes held medicinal properties capable of relieving indigestion, diarrhea, jaundice, and other ailments. And a concentrated tomato extract pressed into a pill form spread rapidly, much like an health supplement. At the time, tomatoes had not yet gained wide acceptance as a food, which allowed their medicinal reputation to take hold first. Eventually, Counterfeit remedies flooded the market, and tomatoes became commonplace as an ingredient in cooking, causing the medicinal craze to fade. But in the process, ketchup evolved as a condiment into the form we know today. The fact that the sauce we now dip our French fries into once sat on pharmacy shelves as a cure-all speaks to the fascinating interplay between food and medicine throughout history. The giant panda's front paw features a protrusion that looks like, at first glance, like a sixth finger. It is not a true digit, however, but rather an elongated radial sesamoid bone located at the wrist. This structure is believed to have developed through the evolution as an adaptation for gripping bamboo. Since bamboo, the panda's primary food source, is long, thin, and slippery, 5 fingers alone are not sufficient for a secure hold. This pseudo sixth finger allows pandas to grasp bamboo firmly and defiantly peel its bark or gnaw through its stem. Positioned roughly where the base of a human thumb would be, it functions much like a thumb when gripping objects. This unusual skeletal adaptation is widely cited in biology as a prime example of convergent evolution, and it vividly illustrates nature's ingenuity in reshaping anatomy to match dietary needs. Saudi Arabia is strongly associated with camels and is known as a desert nation. Yet today, it imports large quantities of camels from Australia. The backstory lies in Australia's dramatic camel overpopulation. Camels were brought to Australia in the 19th century as a pack animal, but became obsolete with the rise of motor vehicles and were released into the vast interior of the continent. With virtually no natural predators, they bred rapidly, and the wild camel population has grown to several 100,000. Meanwhile, in Saudi Arabia, changing lifestyles driven by economic development have led to a decline in traditional camel husbandry. As demand has risen for camel meat, milk, and culture events such as camel racing, domestic supply has struggled to keep pace. This ironic reversal, a desert nation importing camels from other side of the world, stands as a compelling illustration of how globalization reaches even into the heart of traditional culture. Cats are famously heavy sleepers, averaging between 14 and 16 hours of sleep per day. Over the course of a lifetime, that works out to roughly 70% of their lives spent asleep. This stems from the fact that cats are carnivores requiring explosive bursts of energy for hunting, making it natural for them to conserve their strength during downtime. Wild fields follow the same pattern, resting for their vast majority of the day in order to fuel brief outrun sprints after prey. Domestic cats retain this instinctive rhythm and tend to fall into deep sleep, especially after meals or in environments where they feel secure. Cat sleep consists of both REM and non-REM stages, with a relatively high portion of lighter REM sleep, thought to reflect a lingering alertness to potential threats even when resting. Kittens and elderly cats tend to sleep even longer, as sleep is closely tied to the release of growth hormones and physical recovery. What might look like laziness is in fact a perfectly rational survival strategy. Alaska is known as a cold subarctic region, but in summer, the phenomenon known as the midnight sun means the sun never sets for days on end. This extreme duration of the daylight has a dramatic effect on plant growth. Because plants produce energy through photosynthesis, the near-constant sunlight of the Alaskan summer allows them to photosynthesize around the clock, resulting in astonishing growth over a short period. Alaska hosts an annual giant vegetable competition where entries regularly include cabbages weighing over 50 kilograms and carrots approaching a meter in length. These are not the result of special breeding. They are ordinary varieties grown under conditions of extended daylight. The growing season is extremely short due to the cold, so farmers work intensively to cultivate their crops during the brief summer window. Soil quality and moisture management also play critical roles, meaning it is not daylight alone, but a combination of skilled farming practices that produce these giants. It is a remarkable example of agriculture shaped by the extremes of the natural environment. Human fingerprints carry a unique pattern that remains unchanged throughout a person's life and is widely used for identification. These prints form during fetal development, roughly between 10 and 24 weeks of pregnancy. As the skin on the fingertips grow, different layers of skin proliferate at varying rates, naturally giving rise to the swirls and arches we recognize as fingerprints. Because this process is governed by random physical factors, even identical twins do not share the same fingerprints. The fact that genetically identical individuals can have different prints demonstrates that fingerprints are shaped not only by the genetic information, but also by the specific conditions within the womb. The surface skin on the fingertips regenerates after minor injuries, but the deeper structural layer remains intact, which is why the same fingerprint returns even after a scrape. Fingerprint recognition technology is now embedded in smartphones and access control systems worldwide, prized for its high accuracy. There is something quietly remarkable about the fact that a pattern fixed before birth now underpins the security infrastructure of modern life. The world's first vending machine may sound like a product of modern technology, but its origins stretch back roughly 2,000 years to ancient Egypt. It is attributed to Hero of Alexandria, a Greek mathematician and inventor who devised the mechanism in Alexandria. The device was installed at the main entrance to a temple. When a coin was dropped into a slot, its weight triggered a lever mechanism that released a fixed amount of holy water. One purpose was to prevent worshippers from taking more than their fair share. The system relied on a simple combination of a lever, a counterweight, and a valve, principles that bear a striking resemblance to the basic mechanics of a modern vending machine. Vending machines did not re-emerge in widespread use until 19th century Europe, where machines dispensing stamps and postcards began to appear. In Japan, they became common from the 20th century onward, and the country is now home to one of the 10-cent vending machines networks in the world. The fact that an invention from over 2,000 years ago connects directly to a fixture of contemporary life is a testament to the continuity of human ingenuity.